I tried to beat the entire Road to Elite storyline in AEW Fight Forever in one video. But there's a twist. I'm not allowing myself to lose at any pay-per-view. Throughout the entire story mode, there are only 5 of these, but every single match will be extremely tough, as we face some huge names, including a ridiculous challenge at the final show, Double or Nothing. Now, you may think I'll be using the likes of Kenny Omega or Cody Rhodes to take on this challenge with, but no. There's only one man known to be capable of such a feat, because he's already done it in the WWE. But for this mission, he's had to go undercover. His name? Lyle Kickman. We begin our journey by getting a call from Tony Khan, who wants to offer us a contract at AEW. He has a plan for us at the pay-per-view Double or Nothing. That's right, our first ever match in this challenge is an absolute must-win. Not only that, but Tony informs us that this is a casino battle royale match. So we're up against 19 other wrestlers. Talk about a baptism of fire. Because I had to win at every pay-per-view, I was immediately worried going into this match. If it was a simple 1v1, then I'd be in control and decide my own fate. But with 3 other people in the ring at all times, because Fight Forever seemingly can't have more than 4, I was in danger of being outnumbered and eliminated at all times. We draw a card, and apparently this number and suit means that I enter the match first, because of course it does. As I watched Lyle, enter the ring for the very first time, I felt mixed emotions. Was I nervous? Sure, how could I not be? The chances of Lyle winning this match were slim to none. Excited? Absolutely. This was the beginning of a new chapter in his career, and I couldn't wait to see all the havoc he would wreak in AEW. Towards the start of the match, I just tried to find my bearings, allowing the others to fight and eliminate each other. Lyle's been in this game way too long to not know how to handle these situations. As the bodies flew around the ring in all directions, I knew I had to make a statement. Lyle was here for a reason, to become the inaugural AEW champion. So he got a hold of Hangman Adam Page and hit the sweetest Lyle driver of his life, right on the button. And it was at this moment that a switch flipped. Lyle became Kyle again and immediately got to work, racking up elimination after elimination, hitting Lyle drivers and lit kicks left, right and centre, until it came down to the final 4. Malachi Black, Matt Hardy, Ray Phoenix and Lyle Kickman. With 12 eliminations to his name already, Lyle was never going to throw this away from here. After hitting a devastating Lyle driver on Malachi Black, he was gone. His attention turns to Phoenix, despite Matt Hardy's best efforts to make it a 2v1. After a short beatdown, Phoenix suffered the same fate as Malachi. And then there were 2. 14 eliminations, 1 to go, and in true Kickman style, he had all the momentum. With the finisher locked and loaded, Matt Hardy was done. All it took was a feeble right hook to send him flailing over the ropes, and just like that, Lyle Kickman didn't just win on his AEW debut, he beat 19 other men to put himself immediately in the title picture. It only took him 1 match to become the most feared man in the company, and people were already taking note. Lyle was here, and here to dominate. In the build-up to the next pay-per-view, All Out, Chris Jericho, the man who we'd be facing for the inaugural AEW Championship, sends out multiple opponents for us to face on the weekly shows. He says he took issue with us saying that we were wrestling through and through on a talk show we did, and that he was the best to ever do it. I'm not so sure about that one, Chris. Some pretty strong words there though from our first real opponent in the story. After dispatching Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Cage and Lance Archer in 3 honestly pathetic challenges from Chris Jericho, it was time to face the man himself, and this wasn't going to be as easy as those bums. This is one of the all-time greats we're talking about, and not only that, but the AEW title is on the line for the first time ever. If there's one man to become the original champion of the brand, it's Lyle Kickman, and no one, no matter how impressive their career history is going to stand in his way. The day was upon us, AEW All Out, and Lyle was ready. In walks Jericho with his baseball bat and studded jacket on as if that was supposed to be intimidating. Little did Jericho know just how much he'd underestimated Kickman, as right from the off he gets hit with a fierce back elbow that lays him out flat. But this was only the beginning. Lyle didn't let up, hitting Jericho with multiple side slams until he was ready. Merely a minute into the match, and Jericho finds himself in a world of pain with Kickman ready to pounce. He hoists him up and nails a Lyle driver. Surely this isn't going to be over this fast. 1, 2, 3. Oh my word! Lyle Kickman has walked into AEW, obliterated everything in his path, and cruised past one of their top guys to become the first ever AEW champion. You could not write a better script than this one. 1 minute and 8 seconds was all it took for Lyle to take over, and this was just the beginning of his reign of terror. Lyle was so dominant that he was starting to catch the attention of nearly everyone on the roster, not least Death Triangle, who sent out Rey Fenix to save him after a Wardlow and MJF beatdown. Over the next few weeks, Pac talks about the prospect of us joining his stable, but admits himself that he isn't too keen on the idea. But after we pick up a tag team win against Dustin and Cody Rhodes, Pac is fully invested in Kickman. Death Triangle end up cutting a promo where they officially invite Lyle into their group, to which he agrees, thinking that the more people he can have on his side, the easier it will be to fully take over AEW. But what happens next is nothing short of a tragedy. This whole time, Death Triangle were never interested in recruiting Lyle. The real reason they were getting involved is because of strict orders from Tony Khan. You see, when a man rocks up and decimates your entire roster whilst winning the title in his first few weeks of being there, it doesn't make your brand look too good. Now their cover is blown, Tony organises a singles match between Lyle and Pac at Full Gear, which would be our third must-win contest of the challenge, and I was not ready for what was about to happen. With Full Gear upon us, I was feeling confident in Lyle. No one has even come close to stopping him this far, and Pac just seems like the next target. Despite him landing a cheap shot early on, it looked like Pac's fate was sealed. Kickman immediately took the upper hand and started beating him down. He whips him into the corner and hits a huge lariat. But that's when things took a turn. Out walked Penta, and this wasn't looking good. Lyle is a man of many talents and sure as hell put up a fight against the two of them, even managing to land a lit kick on Penta before the inevitable happened. Rey Fenix was here as well, just in case a 2v1 wasn't unfair enough. He fought with all of his might, landing moves here and there on the two intruders, but it was just too much. Eventually it became a beatdown, with Pac, Rey and Penta all diving to the outside at the same time to crash down onto Lyle's helpless body. I hate to inform you all that after what seemed like an eternity, Lyle was laid out in the middle of the ring by Fenix and Pac picked up the victory. Now, I know I said that I'd have to win at every pay-per-view in this challenge, but I hope you can understand the circumstances. It took 3 wrestlers all at once to take Lyle down, and even then they struggled. In what was an incredibly one-sided affair, we picked up our first loss of the run, but due to how it occurred, I decided to keep on going. So, bruised, beaten, and broken, Lyle dragged himself to the hospital to get immediate surgery. During the triple dive to the outside, Kickman actually suffered a punctured lung, 2 broken ribs, and a broken arm. This seemed like too big of a setback for him to come back from, but believe you and me, you'd have to kill this man before he retired. To prove that nothing could ever hold him down, Lyle schedules an appearance on a TV show where he sat across the table from the god of wrestling himself, Kenny Omega. Without a second's hesitation, he calls Omega out and says that his exploding barbed wire deathmatch with Jon Moxley was pathetic, before announcing that he'll be competing in the very same match at the next pay-per-view, Revolution. Not only has he made a mockery of the AEW roster, Lyle's now booking the shows for them as well. Kenny is predictably furious and offers Lyle out, but we'll have to wait to see that matchup unfortunately. While addressing the AEW fans about the revival of the deathmatch, both Omega and Moxley intervene, with Omega taking issue with Lyle's booking and Moxley wanting another shot in the exploding barbed wire match after losing. Lyle, being the diplomat that he is, suggests that they settle it in a triple threat. Whoever wins gets to book the match. And with that, we suddenly had a massive challenge on our hands. With Kickman's AEW legacy and pride on the line, he gets after both of them, planting them flat on their backs one after the other. Unlike at Full Gear, this isn't a handicap match, so Lyle is thriving. The only problem is getting a chance to pin one of them while the other can't break it up. But this is Lyle Kickman we're talking about. He wears them both down and hits a devastating lit kick on Moxley, sending him crashing to the mat. Now time to sort out Omega. With a lightning fast combo, Lyle sweeps Kenny's legs from under him and turns his attention back to Moxley, who's still KO'd from the kick, and, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to know how to make a statement after picking up your first loss for the company, it's by taking down 2 of the top guys there at the same time. Lyle wins and quickly decides to face Jon Moxley at Revolution. The stage was set and both men had their own redemption arcs to fulfill. Moxley wants to right the wrongs of his previous exploding barbed wire deathmatch, and Lyle wants to get back to winning ways after the disgraceful ambush at the previous pay-per-view. And it appears that Lyle wasn't here to mess around. Jon Moxley had no idea what he signed up for, as this was simply a massacre. Multiple tables were broken, explosions everywhere, finishers galore, and that was all before the ring even exploded. With his elite level ring awareness, Lyle took position in the center of the ring, knowing that the closer you are to the ropes, the more you'll be impacted by the blow. And as the clock ticked down, he simply stared at the bloodied body of Moxley, who was the unfortunate victim in Kickman's revenge arc. The ring went off, badly burning both Moxley and Lyle, but Kickman stood right back up. After all the pain Moxley had been through, this was the final straw. He could do nothing but lie there as Lyle covered him for the win. Perhaps the most convincing win in wrestling history, but that wasn't enough for him. There was still one man left on his hit list: Kenny Omega. Unsurprisingly though, after that beatdown, Kenny Omega didn't want to fight Lyle at Double or Nothing. Instead, he had other plans. Omega decided to challenge us to a 1v1 match on the Dynamite before the pay-per-view, hoping that he'd silence us there and then and we'd be dealt with. Think again, Kenny. The so-called god of wrestling did his best, bless him. But this was a reborn Lyle Kickman, and after 3 of the finest Lyle drivers you're likely to ever see, the match was over. Kenny Omega had been made to look like just another jobber filling up the locker room, embarrassed in front of the crowd that loved him so dearly. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Nick and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks, were not happy that Lyle had taken out their leader and immediately placed a bounty on his head. Unfortunately, what came of this was a 2-on-1 handicap match at Double or Nothing. Tony Khan couldn't believe his luck, as he saw another opportunity to unfairly punish the man that had made his promotion look like a joke. The match was set, and we'd been here before. The entire challenge up to this point had led us to this moment. Capturing the AEW title at the first time of asking, taking out nearly every wrestler that stood in our way after that, and suffering a horrific set of injuries only to bounce back weeks later to win at the next pay-per-view event. What lay ahead looked like an impossible challenge. But Lyle Kickman doesn't know the meaning of the word impossible. Mainly because you don't need to pass exams to become a security guard, but that's beside the point. I'm not gonna lie to you, the match that ensued was anything but pleasant. Lyle does his best to take out one brother at a time in order to try and even things out, but whoever he wasn't focusing on just simply intervened as soon as they could. Any pinfall attempts we managed to get would be broken up almost immediately. The fight was there, but it just couldn't be done. After a drawn-out, frustrating few minutes, Kickman was finished. There were only so many times his pinfalls could be broken up, and so many hits that he could take. Nick Jackson spun around and hit him flush with a discus forearm, and it was over. A second pay-per-view defeat for Kickman, but another one that was grossly unfair. While this challenge may not have been completed, it's important to look back at the legacy that Lyle left in AEW. After dominating the WWE scene, this was largely a cakewalk for the ex-security guard. It took 2 handicap matches to blemish his record, and in my book, he should be able to walk out of that company with his head held high. I'm proud of you, Lyle. If you enjoyed this video, then you should become a channel member. You'll get exclusive early access to content along with a load of other benefits.